Way! Banana, banana, football. This is NFL Straya. G'day, I'm your co-host, Jaymz Clements. That's right, co-host, because while I may be a guy here in the Sports Today studio, aka the Jaymz Clements Excellence in Podcasting Memorial Studios, there is a bloke on the other side of this here screen. It is a bloke who is a sometime singer in a band called The Ramshackle Army. They are still digging him out of the sand traps of the Thornbury Bowls Club after a few tins at his birthday party on the weekend. He is my mate, he's your mate. It's Gaz. Gaz, what's going on?
Mate, I thought you were definitely going to introduce me. How did you call me the other day? The guy who does the podcast along with you? Like I'm the tag along?
Hang on a sec. You said, now I believe we can get this on a t-shirt, and have you quoted saying, oh, Jimmy's the guy who does the podcast with me. And I'm like, wait. I feel like Gaz is the one who does the podcast with me. And then all hell broke loose. But it was all right.
I just meant that we do it together, Jim. Not that there was any lead. You're clearly the lead. You're the one who sits in the pretty studio and names the studio after yourself and all of those sort of things. I didn't mean anything by it, but anyway, good times.
Very true. It's all right. I laughed it off and then had to chase after a squid, but it was all right. They also left their sausage and their chicken wing behind, which much to their own chagrin and my chagrin when we're in the car halfway back, and I'm like, oh, God. And there's like a punch on in the backseat. But anyway, this week, it's the Week 12 wrap show. Crazy week. Talk about, we've had some awesome witching hours this year. This is one of the good ones as well. So we'll wrap up Week 12 for you. We've got the Yeah Nahs, we've got the weekly awards, we've got fantasy, and we'll do our Week 13 picks. But most of all, I'm just happy not to have to do a solo pod. Because I do a solo pod for the NBA show. That's all well and good. It's all very easy. NFL, I'm like, this is just me talking way too much. So it's nice to have you back, buddy. That's good.
Not going to lie, I did get a couple of messages saying, missed you on the show last week, mate.
Good.
Even if it's just to give you a breather.
I was going to say, maybe I'll just get you to do a solo pod next time. I'll take the week off.
No one needs that. I'll try not to be on a plane during our recording sessions.
Nice.
Moving forward. Anyway,
let's get into it. NFL Straya, let's do it. This is episode 112. Let's go.
Do it.
You suck. You suck. You suck. I hate you. Throw me the ball. You suck. You suck. Hey, what happened to our quarterback? Oh, g'day. This is Malik Neighbours, and you're listening to NFL Straya.
I like that you did that because I nearly added that. That was nearly one of my kind of old mate, no mates, and then I left it off there. So I'm glad it got in there somehow.
There you go.
Neighbours is not happy, is he?
I've always got your back here, Gaz. I mean, we can probably actually start almost at the Giants, but yeah. So Week 12 in the bag. Amazingly enough, so there's two things that sort of I went into this show going, hang on. A, Doug Peterson has still got a job. What's going on? This is bizarre. I taped last week's show fully expecting that as soon as I pressed publish that he would be fired. Mm-hmm. And he has, was Tony Khan busy with what do they run? AEW, the other wrestling one or whatever? Or Tottenham Hotspur or whatever they own? I don't know. Did they just forget they own the Jags? They just left him in charge. It's probably fine. It's bizarre. But anyway. And then the other one was Brian Daboll, where there were reports that he'd already been fired. And then I love a good community notes on the old X, the everything app, which was as of this time, he's not actually been fired. Community notesing, the one reporter who was official and actually had said that it happened. It doesn't seem like it's happened yet, but either way, that's kind of where the Giants were. And also, they released Danny Dimes, Gaz.
It got weirder than that. All of a sudden, my lights just turned off, Jim, just putting me into the dark like I'm in some horror movie. It was even weirder than that because he got benched and then he got moved down immediately to third string. And obviously, you don't pay the quarterback you bought in for $5 million to back him up, Jim. What do? You bring in local Italian superhero, kind of aimed to the New Jersey masses, and you bring him in to start, leave Lock on the as a reserve, and bring him down to Danny Dimes down to third string, and then you sign Boyle and you drop Danny Dimes down to fourth string. At what point he's playing what was he playing? He was playing scout team safety in practices, and then within 24 hours after that, he's released. So obviously there was all of the talks about him being benched so that he didn't get injured and wasn't on the roster, having to be paid next year. And then they just went, fuck it, our contract is such a mess, we're never going to get anything for him. So see you later, Danny. Go, be free.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Where it's like, well, we'll leave him as third string. And you're like, yeah, because if he's the backup, then he might still get into a game and still might get hurt. So you're like, third string is fine. And you're like, wait a minute. What happens if they both get injured? And you're like, oh, God, now you're just talking yourself around in circles. You guys really hate this dude. But my favorite thing is, like, he hopes to land with a contender. It's like, yeah, cool. you probably would. I mean, I hope to drink some Friday froths. Like, we all have hopes and dreams, Gaz. Like, who knows what's going to happen? But, like, I'm super old already, but I hope my dick gets bigger. Like, yeah, great, awesome. We all get it. Seriously, I hope to land with a playoff contender. I love that and I'll tell you this later for old mate, no mates, but he's like, the Raiders like, we'll take him. And he's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Talking about old mate, no mates. Yeah. He was fourth string on the Giants and he doesn't want to play for the Raiders. That's amazing.
Yep. It has brought up all of the off-season Hard Knocks clips again, and it just comes out of, no one's ever going to do that again, are they? No one's going to sign up to do that with everything that's hit the Giants. But the fact is, when the comments come out and say, no, we're not going to pay, if we've got a $40 million quarterback, we're not going to pay him to hand off the ball to a $12 million running back. Well, guess what, Jim? The Eagles are paying a $50 million quarterback to hand off to a $13 million running back, and it's going just fine.
Yeah, they're top of the NFC East, just saying. Yeah. Right. So outside of all that sort of chaos, we had a chaotic actual football week. We had division game chaos, which I think the biggest learning I got from this was, always just fucking take the underdog in division game. Like, we sometimes forget that easy, very fucking simple adage, but wow. Like, this week was bang on to a pretty crazy degree. And we sort of just had these moments like throughout the rest of the week where you're just going, oh, this keeps on going, this keeps on happening. And then we had like, a couple of big blowouts for prime time, but still we head into Thanksgiving this week as well. Don't forget. So we've got the 3 games on our Friday. We've got a Black Friday game, which is on our Saturday, which is also pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Before we get to the Monday and the Tuesday games again this week. But yeah, outside of that, it was an awesome, chaotic week. We'll get to that in the game wraps in a second. And there's also, the thing is, week 13, there's a bunch of injuries piling up, guys.
So it's also, I just mentioned before we go on air, that the injuries, that's something that you wouldn't normally mention in the beginning of the season, is all also relevant now because every game fucking matters. So obviously Purdy missed this week, and that caused one of a ripple effect down the league, including Jimmy messaging me to tell me he's changed his pick, which is pretty obvious. Minshew's gone with his that's in and out, and you're out for good now because his collarbone's gone. Brandon Graham tore his tricep. Now that is sad for Eagles fans because it's probably his last season. He announced before this that he was going to be his last season, and he was actually off to a flyer against the Rams. Spent half his game in the backfield, and then immediately came out after the game and said, "That's me. I'm out for the season." But there's some hope because he's a pretty awesome dude. Robert, the running backs for the Commanders. So Robertson rolled his ankle in the first 2 minutes of the game, felt like, which was great for someone like myself who was relying on him in fantasy. And then
he came back in that game as well, right?
He played a couple of he hobbled out and played a few snaps, but didn't touch the ball in the second half. And then Eckler went out with a concussion at the end of that game too, so he's obviously going to miss at least a game. And it's getting spicy, as you mentioned, about the top of the NFC East. We're playing the Ravens this week, so it would be a nice game for the Commies to catch one back up. So having your two running backs potentially out, that's not a good thing. And then Romeo Dobbs and Josh Downs, to two wide receivers, both are out with concussions. So the fact that the Pack and the Colts are both fighting in their divisions, you kind of having a key wide receiver out for a week is not great. And Montgomery for the Lions went down with his shoulder, but straight away he's come out that he expects to play on Thanksgiving, but I believe they're playing Thursday, so it's a quick recovery time. We'll see what happens there.
And do we know what happened to Jatavian Sanders after he landed on his head, which looked like one of the most brutal bloody injuries you've ever seen? He's it's almost like a slinky, how his sort of head lands on his head and his neck sort of compresses and then he goes again. But I think the update was that he was discharged from hospital.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Canales said Sanders was discharged from the hospital and appears to have movement in his extremities. I know that the hospital system in the USA is rooted, Gaz, but I feel it's can he move his fingers? Yeah, piss him off. Yeah. That seems a bit harsh. I'm just saying. Anyway, he's being apparently evaluated for concussion and neck injuries still, but he'd been discharged from the medical center, which is pretty crazy. Gross. Still.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Appears to have avoided a pretty bad injury. That's
when you see the way that he landed, you're yeah,
it wasn't great.
Damn, that's how someone dies on a football field kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
100%.
Cool. Let's wrap up week 12. The week 12 wraps. Hey, remember Friday's snow game?
That was absolute chaos.
It feels awesome.
Actually, once again, so long ago, but
I don't really remember it. 24-19, Pittsburgh lose in Cleveland because Jameis Winston is our bright, shiny puppy and we love him. He's like a puppy. That pre-game speech that he gave where halfway through it looked like the Eckie had kicked in. Yeah. And he's just it's he's almost going to start dancing. He's just great. Be here. Yeah. And what was
thanking the Lord that I've got the experience to come out here. And
what is it going to, the Lord is is gracious or whatever, but the horse prepares for war. He's a lunatic and I love him. And
it's the best.
He threw he had an awesome the touchdown, but then also throws the most absurdly perfect Jameis interception you could ever imagine. Yeah. But it's also a fucking blizzard. So you can't really blame him. But the thing is, he's I can throw this. Check this out. And it got a little bit wonky in the air because it's fucking blizzarding. And they still managed to pull off the win. It was amazing. Great job by the Browns. And again, this is a division game. The craziest thing is, I think Mike Tomlin's record on Thursday night games is now completely abysmal. Not only just against the spread, but just head to head. He just keeps losing them. So one thing to remember next time around. But it's also those sort of game where you go, yeah, Rusty as your QB might be a bit of a big fucking question mark heading into the point into the season here, guys.
Oh, but look, he still was he was still 21 of 28 for 270, right? Touchdown, no turnovers. But so it was fine, but they had 6 points to the end of the third quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's snowing, but that was
the craziest part about this game, I think, right? All the fucking scoring happened basically in the fourth quarter.
In the blizzard, yeah.
When you couldn't see shit. It was awesome. So, more importantly, though, snow games are the best. And if you're a fucking dork on the internet going, nah, we should have all the games in domes, I don't like this, then you're a fucking killjoy dipshit. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Snow games look it'd be horrible to be at, don't get me wrong. It'd be pretty shitty to play it most of the time, but it looks amazing.
Yeah.
People are oh, it's the snow globe game. I'm we had a snow globe game a year or two ago as well. We can't just keep calling all the ones that look like a snow globe the snow globe game. we need original names.
That's true.
Anyway, but that was awesome. Great, just bizarre win for the Browns to get to 3-8. Thank you for trying to keep winning, whereas my Pats can't win. And the Steelers now 8-3. That really put a big dent in their division. Like they were right there. They win that game. They are fucking cruising. But here they are. So tough one for them. Speaking of division games, Minnesota 30, Chicago 27 in overtime. Because the Bears decided to score all their points in the last 90 seconds. It was
fucking
bizarre.
Insane.
And awesome. What the fuck was that, da Bears? No one is entirely sure. It was very, very funny as it actually happened. And I was over the moon because like the Bears have fired their old, Shane Waldron, whatever his name was, right?
Yeah, offense coordinator, yeah.
OC's been kicked to the curb. And the Bears are like, that guy fucking sucked. This is what we should be doing. Like Caleb Williams is throwing the ball a lot quicker. Darnold was pretty bloody good. And the Bears were getting their heads kicked in and then scored all their points right at the fucking end of the game and scared the shit out of the Vikings until the overtime. And then the Vikes went on to win it, kicked their field goal, and away they go. I'm going to ask you more Bears stuff later, but this was a really fun fucking game in the end, Gaz.
Yeah, I mean, look, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen had showed up for, like, as someone who's had him on forever on fantasy. I'm like, you're just a guy in a wheelchair at this point. He nearly put up 86 yards and a tutty. Caleb Williams showed he was the hurdle that he made. There was in traffic, just trying to avoid the sack, and then ends up hurdling a guy and scrambling for the first down. And you're like, Jesus, okay, he's gonna be okay. He just needs a little bit of play calling. They've given him weapons with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and Swift is playing really well with them at the moment. And it just didn't. The play calling didn't cover him in glory. So the fact that they can get out there against Minnesota, who they seem to have been a bit pedestrian in the last few weeks. They're still only lost 2 games. But they definitely took it to them after some really, really stagnant offense from the Bears in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they were like, we're going to shut down Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
So, okay, we did that. And then Jordan Addison's like, see ya.
Yep.
Ripped off 162. And Eberflus, Dweeberflus, I'm going to talk about him again later, but what a fucking moron. Jesus. Anyway, good win for the Vikings. To get to 9-2 without looking like a 9-2 team is very impressive.
There's also a thing. It's more of a statement on the league. I feel like I've seen more blocked field goal kicks in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, weird. Right?
I'm like, it's weird. It's all of a sudden people are breaking through. Like that's it happened this
I
week.
love it. Just adds like an extra level of chaos.
Yeah,
and hope. Detroit, professional win over Indy 24-6. A couple of hiccups early on. Tony Richardson, look, he doesn't get called Anthony until he earns it back. But also, he's the sort of dude, he's terrifying if you're on the opposite team trying to tackle him, as well as if you're on his own team trying to catch a pass from him. Because it's like, he's going to get me killed.
It's just rockets. Yeah.
Or he's going to snap my fucking fingers off. I don't know what. He threw a fucking pass so fast that I don't know if it was Downs or whoever, but they just went, what the fuck was that, man? It was, and I was watching, what the fuck was that, man? Like, it was amazing. Yeah. But anyway, it was a bit of an arm wrestle, and Detroit just put them away, which is kind of nice. Good run game. Yep. They leaned on that. And Goff didn't fuck up or anything, which is what Detroit do now. It was very, very good professional win. That was like the easiest pick of the week as well, I thought. Detroit, just because, again, you're going to Indy. Oh, no, we're on the road. It's indoors. They're fine. They don't give a fuck.
Yep. No.
Anyway, speaking of on the road, New England 15, Miami 34. It wasn't even that close.
What happened? What's going on with your team, Jim? They pull out some
two words
Jake
for
May.
You. Two words, Gaz.
Jared Mayo.
Jared dumbfuck Mayo. There we go. Nailed it. Look, Drake May, that fucking pass that he had, I think, was it when we were down 30-0? I can't remember. The touchdown that he threw was fucking beautiful. And you're like, get this man a fucking offensive line stat, and we're laughing. Like, I don't really care. Get him an offensive coordinator who knows what the fuck they're doing as well. That'd be kind of handy. Mayo it's weird how shit he is in the decisions he makes. They're just fucked. But at the same time, I don't want him to win this year anyway. So I'm getting enough glimpses from Drake May. I'm getting enough glimpses from the defense every so often. And the Pats never win in Miami. So I never thought they were going to be a chance in this. And yeah, it was like 30-0. And you're like, please just don't get shut out. Like and then they didn't, which was kind of nice. So look, Drake May is, I think, good. Give him an O-line. We're laughing. Like, I'd be way more nervous if I'm the Bears than I am if I'm the Pats, right? Caleb Williams has these wonky moments where you're like, okay, there's talent. Can you harness it? And Drake May has these moments where he's like, fuck, that's amazing what he can do already. And I feel like he's almost already gone past probably Caleb Williams in way fewer starts. Just in like going, oh, he sort of reads the plays better. He's processing it quicker. He doesn't have the sort of maybe quite the athletic ability of Caleb Williams, but he has way more sort of like athletic ability than I expected. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, Miami looked good. Tua looked good.
Yeah.
That was fine.
What do we think about the outlook for Miami now? We've got 2 Jets games to come.
Yep. They get to play spoiler.
Niners.
And I think we had them in the power rankings last week of like, they can probably, like, they're not dead.
No.
Which is crazy. But the problem is, I think because Denver just keep on winning, it makes it really hard for anybody to jump past them. And like, Cincy losing like the last game, whatever the fuck it was, it's just like, oh yeah, that has probably cooked you. Because with Denver winning this week, it really just sort of put a bit of a bullet in everybody bar probably the Dolphins. So, but they can play spoiler down the stretch, which would be kind of fun. I like that. Outside of that, whatever. Pats keep losing. Thank you. That's fine. They're 3-9. It's exactly where I want them to be. Dallas 34. Wait, no. Tampa Bay 30. Giants 7. Tommy Cutlets. I don't think he's him. He had Baker trolling Tommy Cutlets.
That was fucking great.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Baker looked incredible in this game at times.
Yeah, it was like there was the touchdown where he just kind of jumped over the top
Launched
into
himself.
the end zone. Just he has no respect for his own body, clearly, at times. Just knowing that you're going to get hit, particularly against that D line of the Giants. But meanwhile, I think I don't have the stat in front of me, but it was something like 50 total yards of offense in the first half or something like that for the Giants. And like,
they're bad.
Come on, man.
Tampa Bay. Kate Otten. Love that. Bucky Irving. They were fine. Good job. Professional win.
Mike Evans back. That always helps. Didn't ball out like he does. But down the stretch, I mean, the way that NFC South is going, it's going to go down to the fucking wire, right? So,
well, haven't Atlanta beaten? They've beaten New Orleans twice, I think, already. They played Tampa Bay, I think they have. But yeah, it makes it just like a little bit wonky for the simple fact that like Atlanta are kind of shit, but because they've beaten the Bucks twice already. But because they've already beaten the Bucks twice, they've basically almost sewn up that NFC South.
Yeah.
And Tampa Bay are way more feisty. Anyway, hey guys, this was pretty fun. Dallas 34, Washington 26. What the fuck happened to this game?
Oh my God.
More like the what the fuck Commanders. Like 41 points in the fourth quarter. It was absurd what was going on here.
What was it? 10-9 after 10-9 into the fourth quarter?
Yep.
Was that right?
Yep.
Yeah. It was 10-9 into the fourth, and then it just went off its fucking head.
It was drunker than you were on Saturday. Which is very. So the Cowboys ran back 2 kickoffs against the Commies, one of which they shouldn't have. But I think it's the first time with multiple return touchdowns in the fourth quarter, maybe ever, which is fucking nuts. The craziest...
To be fair, one of them shouldn't have been a return for a touchdown, Jim. And I'm pretty sure the special teams coordinator, you're not supposed to return a fucking onside kick. Because that's how things go bad.
That's exactly right. Which is pretty fucking funny. I love that how he ran straight through everybody. It's like, what? That's how many times could you actually do that when it actually happened? Yeah. But the craziest part was the Commanders tied it up.
Well, nearly.
And then they didn't. So Jacko, I was watching this with Squid number 1, just hanging out, and he's like, wow, they just scored another touchdown. It's like, oh, shit, the McLaurin touchdown. Here we go. This is awesome. We're going overtime. Oh, my God, he missed the kick. And, the Squid just could not believe. He's like, how did he miss that? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. Buddy, I got no fucking clue. And it was pretty funny. So for what, Siebert to miss that one, you're just like, dude, it was a fucked, like the catch, it's landed on its side. It's all fucky. But they do get it up in time for him to kick it. But there's like a hitch in his steps as he goes to kick it because of that sort of shit, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, as you mentioned, right, like the blocked field goals, but we've also had so many more missed PATs in the back half of this season, whereas it felt like every fucking kicker was nailing shit from like 50 plus yards for like the first half of the season, and now it's just fallen off a cliff, which is chaos. But anyway.
Yeah, really bizarre. I mean, from Washington's now lost 3 in a row. And their offense has looked stunted in certain things.
Or has it looked like it's had Cliff Kingsbury in charge?
Yeah, in the second half of the season. But I mean, if you look at Terry McLaurin's stat line of 5 receptions and 102 yards and a touchdown, that looks fine until you realize that they were completely out of it until there was an 86-yard touchdown.
Yeah, 86 of his 102 came on literally the last play.
Last play, right? And it was just the Cooper Rush effect. It was just really weird. They still, like, Rico Dowdle was fine.
That sounds like the worst band in the world, the Cooper Rush effect.
The Cooper Rush effect.
It's like, this band fucking sucks.
This guy, like, as bad as they've been, and like even with a good defense, like Cooper Rush got them to what? He was 5-1 as a starter.
Yeah.
Last time you lost, and you're like, well, they don't have the defense to carry him now. But then knock that one over. I was watching it in the morning, going, turned off Red Zone because I'm like, all right, this is feisty and it affects us. And I felt really
I like that you
fucking
turned off
dirty.
Red Zone, the pants came off. It's like, let's go.
Yeah, it was great. I feel really fucking dirty going for the Cowboys, right? Really dirty on a Monday morning. And then all of a sudden that touchdown happened and I went, well, of course, this is how, the Cowboys going to cowboy this year and the commies are going to escape with one, and there you go. And then, sure enough, it didn't happen, and I was like, I just could not fucking believe it. And then there was a replay of the can't remember what it was, Heed the Call or one of the other podcasts. They replayed the call from the Commanders broadcast of that. Yes, we've scored the touchdown. Yes, we're going to go into overtime, and here we go. And
amazing.
Yep. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I even messaged you, right? Like the squid couldn't even believe that he missed that fucking kick. That's how he was just like beside himself. It was hilarious. Good stuff. Hey, talk about fucking cooking it. KC 30, Carolina 27. Carolina should have won this game. Or at least
KC don't. Oh, you've got it. I was about to say exactly what you've got as a note.
Carolina missed a field goal, right? It was like, what the fuck is going on here? They hold on to win this one, KC, because what do KC don't do? They don't cover big lines, especially on the road. This was a big one. It was like minus 10.5 on the road or whatever. And Carolina always looked feisty, having won a couple of games. And you knew Chuba Hubbard was just going to run he's got a new contract. He's feeling good. And they just, KC just did enough as per usual. And then Carolina came from the fucking clouds to make it a game. And you're like, hang on, this is unreal. And then KC sort of just killed him dead in the end. But, this was fun. Like, I did not expect to say that about the fucking KC Carolina game, but it was. Like, Carolina, KC needed the field goal to basically win the fucking game. And otherwise, it would have been absolute chaos. Had they have lost this, it would have been the funniest fucking thing in the world.
It would have been, that once a year they lose to the Raiders for some describable reason. This would have been that game because they're not going to lose to the Raiders this year. But Panthers taking that at home would have just been fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone started Noah Gray for his 2 touchdowns, right?
Goddamn. Nice one. Good win by KC. Tennessee, talk about fucking upsets. And again, what was it? Divisions. Tennessee 32, Houston 27. What have I told you all year, Gaz? Houston are fucking squirrely. They just look a bit fucking wonky. And a lot of it, they're 7-5 now, which makes it, I think, were they 5-1 at one point as well? So it's one of those things where you go, yeah, this is one of the biggest upsets of the year. Massive line for Tennessee, but it wasn't an upset if you've been listening to NFL Straya. Like, we've been yelling about this for fucking weeks. Houston have threatened this all year, just to have like a weird fucky boil over. CJ Stroud, he's almost the same dude as last year, it feels like. And that's kind of the weird part. Like the confused look on his face.
Yeah.
All this sort of shit, as I've banged on about. But the thing is, like, they're also really just undisciplined. Like, there's just, it feels like every time you're watching them, there's another fucking penalty. There's another fucking penalty. Very similar to be honest, to the Pats. And yeah, just a bit fucked. And Tennessee deserved to win this. Like, Will Levis was really good. Like, he still got sacked a million times. And
eight sacks and a typical Will Levis interception. But even Pollard had a cracking game.
Yep.
Yeah. And the Okonkwo, who, like, he just goes missing for games. And then all of a sudden, as a tight end, busts off a 70-yard touchdown. You're like, come on, mate. Where's that been when you were on my team?
Love that. But yeah, Houston, this is the thing. They just don't look solid. They don't look cohesive. Everything that they've done this year has felt weird and janky for a lot of the time. And it's been like, I can't imagine there'd be too many Texans fans in Australia, but I feel like most of them this year would be sitting there going, what the fuck is this team? Like, it felt like they at least had an identity as the surprise team last year. This year, they're kind of like the hunted a little bit more.
Expectations, yeah.
And yeah, they just haven't lived up to the expectations, and it's sort of really plateaued, especially CJ. So they find it weird. Anyway, other division games: Denver 29, Vegas 19. This game was hilarious. Denver just kicked the fuck out of them in Vegas. But it was like a moment where you're like, Vegas are threatening. And Bo Nix was really fucking good.
Crazy.
Right? They led at the half. And then Bo Nix is like, we've got it, boys. Just set it in. I'll just throw it to Cortland Sutton a bunch of times and we'll win the game. And they fucking ran away with it. Like, it was crazy. So good job by Denver. They're terrifying. I'd also really like to thank Javonte Williams for stinking it up in a week that I really fucking needed him in fantasy.
But he had finished with like -2 yards or something?
God, he was bad. Yeah. Anyway, Cortland Sutton, 2 touchdowns and 97 yards. Awesome game. He was absolutely fantastic. Marvin Mims had a really good one as well. At one point, you're like, yeah, Marvin fucking Mims, sure. Good job by the Broncos. The Denver Broncos. Green Bay, 38. Niners 10. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. This was bad. If you're a Niners fan, you're like, look, we didn't have Brock Purdy. We didn't have Trent Williams. We didn't have Bosa. It's like, yeah, but your team's just a bit shit. And now there's like Kyle Shanahan hot seat. It's like, that's fucking dumb. He's an awesome coach. We get that.
Yeah.
It just also feels like we talk about the tipping point for injuries all the time on this show. And it feels like they hit that ages ago. And they've just kind of kept swimming. And it's like, no, they're still the Niners. It's like, they're not the Niners. This is just a year that is completely fucked. And you just get them sometimes, right? Especially when you're a contender. You just have like these weird fucked years. And shit just goes wrong. And you just suck it up and you come back and hopefully be better next year.
Well, the Niners seem to, like, I don't know whether it's a primacy, recency, but they just seem to go through that roller coaster, right? Like, think about it a few years ago when they just seemed to every running back who stepped in the field just seemed to get injured. They just go through these phases where you're like, oh, fuck, they've got literally no one left. And it hasn't been that bad, but it's just been a revolving door of, Kittle spent some time out and Debo spent some time out and Ayuk and Caffrey, blah, 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 blah. And it's just this revolving door of they just haven't been able to pull it all together at any given time. And the season's cooked, mate.
Yep.
Like 5-6 is not bad, but when you look at that division and the fact that it's going to be tough based on how those games are spread out for anyone in that division to be nailing the wild cards.
Yeah. It's done. Whereas Green Bay, 8-3, not the world's most wildly convincing 8-3 in a very similar fashion, I guess, to the Vikings, but Jordan Love was fine in this one. Josh Jacobs, though, talk about a fucking look. Green Bay don't tend to get free agents. That's their thing. They spent a little bit of coin on Josh Jacobs. He's really fucking good. They also spent a bit of coin on McKinney. Turns out all he does is get interceptions. And it's like, that's pretty impressive. And they keep just doing enough each week. And then they just kick the fucking living shit out of the Niners. And you're like, wait a minute, are they now good yet? Oh, God damn it, this is frustrating. So
they're definitely on the improve. They seem to be getting better every week. You know, they're getting a little bit healthier. They're going the opposite way of the Niners. Love has improved kind of week on week since he's got back. I know it's not, you know, a huge stat line. He only put up 163, but 2 touchdowns and they got the job done. Like, what more can you say?
Yep. Seattle 16, Arizona 6. What the fuck happened to the Cardinals? God damn it. We got the bad Arizona. We both tipped Arizona. Arizona have gone into like what? Green Bay, Niners. They've won road games this year. 2 and 3 away. And completely no-showed this one. It was like they just could not run the ball. Like Jaymz, calm down. 7 carries for 8 yards. I'm no math magician, but that's pretty fucking bad. Like what, 1.1 per carry? 1.2? Maybe. Actually, no, it's less than 1.2. Anyway, yeah, that was shit. And Kyler Murray kind of threw it a bit, but couldn't do anything with it. So it was a bit fucking weird. Trey McBride had 133 yards, and they didn't score a touchdown in this game.
No. And even there was a couple that were just like, just that little bit away from Kyler. Like there was even with his 133 yards, there was a couple of ones that were just out of McBride's reach, and like, that could have turned some tides. But considering the Seahawks still didn't pile on the points, but Seahawks are once again they're above 500 now. Bit of a run in that division, and all of a sudden,
fuck it, this Seahawks team, god damn it. They're like the Minnesota Timberwolves in the NBA. It's just like I'm like, what is you? What is you? Fucking gee, like their defense has been better and better and better the last few weeks, though. I think that's the key for them, right? Because it just means that Gino doesn't have all this pressure on him. Like that win last week was amazing, and then to just keep the Cards at bay was really impressive. Anyway, 37, the Eagles fly all the way to victory over the Rams. 20. This is a bit of a smashing, guys.
Mate, I'm not gonna lie. It's taken me like a good 48 hours to, you know, tone down the excitement, and the game only happened yesterday. So it's, you know, I'm still not going to be, I'm going to be keep going for another 24 hours. No, this game was fucking awesome. It was concerning in the beginning, you know, keeping us to a couple of field goals, and the Rams seem to be moving the ball quite freely. We got a nice turnover at the early in the game, and then it was just Saquon was on the verge of just breaking a number of times, and there was a couple that were just there. Some nice passes to AJ. Jalen didn't have the pressure to play hero ball, and then all of a sudden got to halftime. It was 13-7. We got the lead before the half. And then talking about adjustments, Saquon came out the very first play of the second half and busted 70 yards to the end zone. And then from that point on, it was the screws were down on defense. So that's for the 7th game in a row we've won. And it's a 7th game in a row rookie Quinyon Mitchell has kept his receiver under 30 yards.
And wasn't this like the first time that Jalen Carter had actually come out for a defensive series?
Yeah.
I think in like a bunch of games.
He fucking in there. Yeah. Double teams constantly. They were just spent their entire life in the backfield in this game. I think it was 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and 11 quarterback hits. Jesus. It was just on Stafford all the time. The defense is just playing lights out. And then as you just got there was a Stafford touchdown that was a nice one. Bit of a, you know, puckering of arseholes, Jim, just a bit of tightening up there. And then Saquon busted the second 70-yarder. There was one from Kenny Gainwell got in there, and it was just very, very comprehensive. And for those who haven't seen it all around NFL media, Saquon ended up with 302 scrimmage yards.
Not bad.
And is now on track to break both the scrimmage and rushing yardage. I don't think it'll happen because there's been also a couple of times this season where he's gone, no. Kenny's, is the hot hand. Let him go with it, and happy to take himself out of the game. So depending on what's required. But the most important thing for the Eagles in this 7-game stretch is they're relying on the running game and not Jalen Hurts trying to squeeze balls into tight spaces.
Tell me about it.
Which is not his specialty. Now, remembering in this game we also didn't have Devontae Smith, so there's that to come back. It's pretty good time to be an Eagles fan, mate.
Also, to hit on the Saquon thing as well, it's like you'd definitely rather have Danny Dimes over him though, right?
Of course. But the funny thing is that, funnily enough, Jim, do you reckon I spent any time in the Giants subreddit in the last?
Pants off in the Giants subreddit. It's classic Gaz.
No, but the Giants, like, even the fans coming out now saying, no, I'm not. I don't wish we still had him, because behind our offensive line, it's like the holes that were being opened up by Mailata, Becton, like Cam Jurgens. Like Kelsey picked him as his replacement a couple of years ago when we drafted him, and he's been amazing, just pulling out to the outside to run those, to open those holes on those double teams like Kelsey used to. It's been, it's a good time. Even the linebacker play from Dean and has been refreshing. There you go.
All right. That's Eagle Straya. See you later.
Yeah,
no.
Sorry.
Right.
For the Rams, I mean, they're in a competitive division now, less than 500. They're healthy. Puka just did Puka things. 117 yards, and Stafford was fine. He had some fucking rockets in that game, and you were just like, oh Jesus, he's not fucking lost any in his old age. Kyron Williams was also a bit scary, particularly in the first half of the until the deep line cooked down. But there you go.
Nice. And then finally, Baltimore 30, Chargers 23. Bloody hell. This was really annoying. Because Juzzy Herbs, he's just Quentin Johnston. I don't know how a ball can quite literally hit you in the hands as you're looking at it and you don't catch the fucking. And then you got Josh Palmer turning his head just the wrong way as the ball sails over his other shoulder. You're like, you're fucked. Like, poor Juzzy Herbs, pour one out for him with these horrible receivers who clearly have like a bit of talent, but they're also fucking clearly morons. But it breaks your heart. Anyway, so Baltimore win this one. Lamar was really, really, really solid. They got 140 yards. It felt like there were 2 or 3 different moments in this game where if the Chargers could just stop Derrick Henry from getting like 6 yards, they'd get a stop on downs. They get the ball back, maybe rest back some momentum. And Derrick Henry went, that's cute, Jim. Fuck you and fuck the Chargers. I'm going to carry 7 dudes over the line with you. And you're like, Rob, that's fair. You're awesome. God damn it. Zay Flowers is really good. Mark Andrews had that sick catch just dumping on the ref. The ref's like, there's no catch. You're out of bounds. And Mark Andrews like, fuck you, idiot. I was definitely caught that. And turns out he did. And the Rashad Bateman pass was really fucking good as well. Lamar was good. It was handy. Juzzy Herbs was good. The rest of his team was like Lad McConkey was great. The rest of his receivers were fucked. It was stupid. Anyway, J.K. Dobbins also
couldn't
hurt
really
his leg.
They couldn't get to Lamar. That's the hard thing, right? Didn't need a lot from the receivers. Zay Flowers was fine. Mark Andrews, as you mentioned, but there wasn't a lot required. They just ran on the back of Deza and went, see you fucking later.
Bad. And like, that's kind of the thing. The Ravens, you fuck him up by keeping him in the, speaking of like what your team did to the Rams, like just keep him in the backfield. Like it just fucks him up. And to be honest, that's kind of what they were doing to Juzzy Herbs all the time. That's why you saw Herbs scrambling so much. He ends up with 29 yards on the ground himself, but with Dobbins getting hurt at one point. And
I was going to say, I didn't see that. We didn't mention that early, but I didn't see how severe it was. I know that he went off and didn't come back, but that's not great because he's been their lead rusher. So,
yeah, I think we do spud of the night on NBA Straya. NFL Straya's this week has got to be Quentin Johnston, who was targeted 5 times, Gaz. 5. For exactly 0 receptions and 0 yards. He was so fucking bad. I was so angry. Geez, Jim, did you bet on him? Yes, mother. Fuck. It was so anyway. But yeah, I was angry on behalf of Juzzy Herbs because that was a brutal one. Because that knocks them to 7-4 and gets the Ravens back up to 8-4. And yeah, the Chargers were flying. This was the Harbaugh bowl as well, which I'll talk about again in a second. But good job by John. Right, some quick yeah-nahs. Matty O. This is the good NFL NBA Straya crossover yeah-nah that I've already answered on NBA Straya. Brady's commentary is like a Magic Johnson tweet. Yeah-nah. Yes, I fucking love this point from Matty O. Because if you listen to Tom Brady commentate, Gaz, and you know me, in a surprise twist, I love him. His commentary leaves a bit to be desired. He doesn't want to say anything. He doesn't say anything. And he's kind of just a bit fucking vanilla. No doubt, like how he probably roots. That's why Giselle's now gone to a fucking, like, what is he, like a taekwondo jiu-jitsu instructor or some shit? He can probably bend shit like different ways, etc. But anyway, it is exactly like a Magic Johnson tweet. He's like, yeah, you see what he did there on the 1st and 10 was he threw it to that receiver. It's like, okay, Tom, that's some great insight, I guess, from one of the greats. I mean, it hurts my heart, but yeah, like he has these moments where you're like, do that more, Tom Brady. Just like lean into like telling cool fucking stories about what you would have done or how you face shit like that. Just, you don't have to go full fucking Romo, but a little bit of that of like, right, this coverage is this at the moment. Here's what I'd be doing, or here's what I'd be looking for. Here's what I'd be telling the line. Here's what the line should be telling this QB. Like shit like that. It's not rocket surgery. Just fucking be yourself, mate. But at the same time, he might not be a very interesting dude.
Yep.
Wheels off in Washington, Gaz. Yeah, nah. Well, question, do they make the playoffs? Yeah, no.
Yeah, they made the playoffs.
You reckon?
Yeah, I reckon they right this ship. Well, to an extent, right? I mean, let's just quickly.
Cliff Kingsbury does have a habit of absolutely falling off a cliff in the back half of a season. Like to a terrifying degree where you don't expect how bad it could be. And like the rest of their schedule, there's a couple of, like they've got the Titans this week at home. They should win that. Maybe. They play at the Saints.
I'm worried about what happens. We're going to be without Eckler. Yeah. They're really relying on that run game to set up Scary Terry and James. So like if Brian doesn't come back and they're down to the 3rd string running back, that's not great. Tennessee have shown a bit of vibe. Saints think that'd be all right. Well, depending on what comes back, they're playing at us at the Eagles. That's going to be a cracker. That's going to decide the division with 2 games to spare. And then Falcons and Cowboys. So
crazy. Weird. From 7-2 to 7-5, staring down the barrel. How many could they lose in a row? We'll find out. I love you, Washington. Come on. Because that leads me into, should I cash in my Jaden Daniels offensive rookie of the year bet, Gaz? Yeah, nah. Bo Nix versus Jaden Daniels. Watch out.
The last 3 weeks haven't been stellar.
Yeah.
What are you going to get for it, Jim?
So I think I had it at 6.5 to 1. Now it's down to like 3 if I cash it out. 3 to 1. So yeah, I think I might.
Yeah.
Because I felt that was locked and loaded like a month ago. I'm like, that is cash in the bank. We're fucking laughing. And now not so much. So I don't know what to do. Denver's schedule. They play the Browns at home this week. Then they host the Colts. Then they go to LA to play the Chargers, Cincy, and then the Chiefs in the last week of the season. Bo Nix could win it. So I might have to cash that in.
Yeah. It's funny. And it's funny with this entire crazy crop of wide receivers. And who stood out? Harrison hasn't done what you kind of expected. Worthy showed flashes. Neighbors showed flashes. Brian Thomas. But no one's separated themselves.
Lad McConkey.
Lad McConkey.
I also love that he looks like a motherfucking name, Lad McConkey. You look at his face, you go, your name's Lad
That's
McConkey,
right.
isn't it?
That's right. Yep.
Fucking weird little dweeb. The last few minutes for Chicago, does that wash away the rest of that game for you guys? Yeah, no.
Like, I think they're all of a sudden going to come back next week and play on from that first
The
half?
offense didn't suck.
Yes.
All right.
No. It doesn't wash away the whole first half. I wish the Chicago Bears were supposed to be the it team of this year with all the weapons and the generational talent, and it just hasn't clicked as quick. I think maybe we were set up. The Lions turned it around a couple of years ahead of schedule. The Texans were ahead of schedule, and I think that we just all kind of went, this guy's NFL ready, and they'll be fine. Eberflus is a fucking moron, and they've killed their fucking like.
But I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So the Lions, if you cast your mind back, like their first round pick a couple of years ago, they went and got Penei Sewell, and it's what the fucking Bears did this year was go, our O-line's a bit shit, but we're not going to fix it. We've got Rome Odunze. And you're like, you've already got fucking DJ Moore and fucking Keenan Allen. You probably don't, like, as awesome as Rome Odunze is, don't get me wrong, but you don't need him as much as probably a really fucking good interior offensive lineman just to protect your new toy, Caleb Williams. I don't know. Anyway. Whatever. I still believe in the Chicago thing at some point, but I think I spelled this out last week. They just are on the wrong time cycle. Every time they do something, they fuck it up, right? So we haven't fired the coach yet. We'll fire him at the end of the season. But then the new coach is going to come in and say, well, I didn't draft Caleb Williams, and they go into a fucking death spiral again and again. Anyway.
The other thing is it's also a really, really fucking bad time in a really bad division to be going through new toys because you've got Lions, Packers, and Vikes all established and playing well.
Mike Vrabel, let's do it. I was right about the Texans, hey? Yeah. Just a bit janky. Like they'll still be fine, but they're janky. Yeah, just saying.
Once again, they're in a division where they can. They're in a division where they can afford to be that. That's right.
Can we put the Niners on the cook list yet, Gaz? Yeah, no.
Yeah. There was a time. There was a. I can't remember what. I can't remember which pundit it was last week that said, before Purdy was out, that was saying, Jordan Love and the Packers have got a chance to end the Niners season this week if they knock this off. And that was before the Purdy thing, and they kind of have. So they're last in that division, but you look at where they sit 1-3 in their division. Yeah. So even winning that, getting back on track there, it's a tough way up, and they're just a bit.
That's kind of like the weird difference between them and like, even though the Saints are like still Saints and the Bucks just behind Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like you can still, like Atlanta are a bit shit.
Mm-hmm.
You could almost like, if you get a couple of wins in a row, you're okay. Like the Saints still have like a hint of a sniff, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's weird. And same sort of Miami, it's just a lot tougher for them on the other side of things. But the Niners with those division losses, it's just almost impossible, I think, for them to get at the top of it, let alone because you're not going to get a wild card probably. So, Anyway, good stuff. Let's do the good bloke of the week. Who are we buying a beer this week? Cavonte Turpin. Woo-wee. That put the entire Commanders team in the spin cycle. He did dropped it at the 1 yard line and went, oh, fuck, jeez. Does a spin, just keeps going. 99-yard fucking return touchdown. Absolutely psycho. Love that a lot. And Kobe Bryant. Kobe. I kind of feel bad for the dude because his name's Kobe Bryant. Like, your parents should be punched in the head for that shit. Right? Because it's like, what's your last name? Bryant. Like, what'd you name your kid? Kobe. Bang! In the face. Just like, what'd you do that to him for? Why'd you do that? There's already, like, Kobe Bryant was around 20 years ago. He was already famous. Like, he'd already won 3 fucking titles with the Lakers. What are we doing? You don't name your kid. It's the same as Michael B. Jordan. Like, what are we doing? If your last name's not Jordan, you don't call your kid, you know what his name should be? Michael. Like, he's not going to be as good as the dude. What are you doing? But Kobe Bryant, look, he was very good this week. Just wanted to say, love that for him, but also punch his parents in the head.
Yep. No, I agree. That just reminds me of the time when I met a guy who was born in 1980, just, a bit younger than me, whose parents called him Mark Hamill. And I'm like, dude, what? Star Wars was out.
Oh,
like, why would you do that? Why would you fucking do that?
Fuck me.
Yep. Anyway, now good bloke for the week for me. Come on, mate. It's got to be Saquon.
Love it.
That's a generational game. And in his first season for a team, happy days.
Pretty good. Old mate, no mates. The flog of the week. Malik Neighbours throwing his entire bunch of the rest of the team and his coach under the bus. And then Dayball had to come out and go, no, we had a good old chat. He won't do that again. I'm like, what?
Well, he threw everyone except Danny Dimes because he said it clearly wasn't the quarterback because we had the same fucking result after getting rid of Danny. So,
I'm just also like, I just don't trust skinny Dayball. Like, this has been a thing that I've been beating for most of the season. I'm like, my dude, Ozempic Dayball. I don't buy it.
No.
Anyway, Austin Seibert for the commies. That is a tough. Like, it's like you do all the hard work and then you miss the fucking kick to send it to. Oh god, dude.
Yep.
Tough one. Really.
If they miss by a division game,
ooh,
Jesus Christ! But then on the flip side, you know, Cowboys fans are all sitting there going, "Oh, look at us! We've got a rebuild. We're in cap hell, and guess what? We knocked off a meaningless game." And dropped I can't remember where they are on Tankathon now, but they're like around the 10 mark because they've got too many fucking wins, Jim.
Yep. I like that. Matt Dweeberfloos, when he threw that challenge flag for Jordan Addison, who had a sick catch and like took it all the way to the house, right? I don't know if it went all the way to the house. It was 69 yards. It was massive. And it was awesome. And Dweeberfloos came out and said, yeah, I threw the challenge flag because it was an explosive play. And we didn't have I just didn't want him to have that big of a gain. It's like, Matthew, did you think that he stepped out of bounds? Because it didn't even fucking look like it live. You were right there. And he's like, I'm just angry. I'm going to throw him a flag. Like, what a fucking dweeb. I hate him. Oh, if I was a Bears fan, fuck. Anyway. Danny Dimes, old mate, no mates, and the Raiders are as well. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, like he's like, yeah, look, I'm on waivers now, and I'm a free agent. And the Raiders like, we'll have him, and he's like, nah, I'm good, thanks. That's such a kick in the dick for your entire franchise. And then I don't know, you can do yours, and then I'll finish off with mine because mine is like, I've got a couple of thoughts.
Okay, yeah, for mine, your coach, mate. Mr. MAYO.
I'm so angry about this.
Because the quote that has just been heard around the world, once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. Yeah, mate, it's called fucking coaching.
Yes, you can. You're the coach. You can coach them. You quite literally have a headset. Who are you talking to there, Jared? What the fuck? What a moron. Oh,
that was
God.
ridiculous. I said, he said what? He was also, wasn't he the middle linebacker who was communicated to by the coach when he was playing for you, Jim?
God.
He literally had coaches in his ear.
He was such a good player.
CTE is a good thing. Is a good
coach.
thing? Is a real thing, right? Terrible.
I hate him. God, I loved him so much as a player. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Anyway. My final old mate, no mates is that Jackie and Jack Harbour, the fact that they're Jackie and Jack, just fucking weird. But that's John and Jim's parents. So there's a lot of J's here, right?
Yeah.
They weren't at the game today. A bit strange. Your two sons are playing against each other in an NFL game. I think the last time it happened, it was the fucking Super Bowl. They're like, nah, we're not going to go. It's our 63rd anniversary. Now, tell me if I'm out of pocket here, Gaz. But who fucking cares about your 63rd anniversary? Your kids are fucking playing against each other. That's on fucking prime time on a Monday night football game. And you're like, nah, I'd rather hang out with my daughter and my son-in-law, Tom Crean. Get the fuck out of here. I get that you're old and it's a long way because I think they're in Florida or some shit. Fuck that. Get up. They can afford a fucking private jet to get you over there and watch your sons coach against each other in a huge moment. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, mate, no, mates.
Fair,
they hate their kids.
To be fair, though, they've had like
They're also-
40, 50 fucking year careers, each one of them. Like, they're probably going, you know what? If you were both actually playing, then we'd make it.
Maybe
But
it's the
you're
only
old
time-
fuckers now.
Maybe it's the only time each year they root as well. So,
Yeah.
like, the 63rd anniversary, they're like, oh, geez, Marge, they fucking
Dust the-
scheduled the
dust the
game for
cobwebs
our
off.
root night.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Outback Takehouse, quick one today. Not only should Baker Mayfield have, shouldn't he have shown up Tommy Cutlets by doing the Tommy Cutlets dance, he should have also done the Money Manziel, because that's how many Super Bowls he's going to fucking win, because he's a no-class clown only at Outback. To be honest, no, he should have fucking...
What the fuck? I was like, he was awesome. And then you're just like,
No, that's the hot take. That's the fucking dumb talking head going, he's got no class. I
right.
fucking loved it. I think
Yeah.
my entire point for the hot take is that every QB should be doing this. They
Yeah.
should be showing up their opposition, because as a QB, but you can't get unsportsmanlike for doing something that the other QB does, because they're not on the field, right? Like, you're not
no.
doing it in their face. There was like that bullshit. Was it Jameer Gibbs who got that fucking bullshit unsportsmanlike as he kind of backed over and laughed at the dude as he went across the line, which was just objectively fucking funny. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? And Tommy he gets the Tommy Cutlets fucking out. I love that for Baker. Very fucking funny. I want to see them like cause heaps of beef between other QBs. Like, every QB should be like smack talking, doing like funny fucking shit that the other QB that they're playing against does. Rub it in their face. That's fucking funny. Fire up, boys. Let's go. What do you reckon?
It's like they used to, JJ Watt or someone like that doing the Aaron Rodgers championship belt when you sack him back in the
Exactly.
day. Yeah.
Exactly. Turn their own celly back on them. I love that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, little Aussie battler of the week, the Aussie Spotlight. Obviously, Jordan Mailata and Daniel Fa'alole in prime
Back and
time.
in form.
Mailata
Yep.
looked awesome. That was pretty
Yep.
good. It's always just one of those great ones as well when you got the primetime games and they start ripping off the Fa'aloles or the Mailatas and they're like, oh, yeah, from Australia. And you're like, yeah, give him hell, bro. And it's like Mailata's just trucking another motherfucker. It's like, yes, give him hell. Love that.
Was Mitch Wish, was he injured this week? Did I make that up?
I don't remember because I was like not watching. But to be honest, that Green Bay fucking game was just sort of over very, very quickly. No punting. Pat O'Donnell.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to Mitch Wish.
Yeah, he was out this week. Yeah.
Probably should check that while I go and talk some other stuff, Gaz. There you go. Captain Fantasy. So the fantasy stuff this week, I did lose. I was having a good old chat at your birthday party on Saturday, Gaz, with my opponent this week. We were both mid-table. Josh was projected to beat me by just a handful of points and eventually beat me by a handful of points because none of my fucking team rocked up. As I mentioned, Javonte Williams just sputtered it up. And I was in such dire straits because of buys. I had Jonathan Brooks and he actually got out there. And when he was out there, I'm like, let's go. Oh, he did nothing. So
I would want it. So while I say you lost by a handful of points, let's be absolutely clear here. Josh played Saquon Barkley and got 44 points for him and still only scraped over the line.
Yeah, because I had I wrote Mark Andrews at the end of for today, which is really good. He also had Juzzy Herbs playing as well as Zay Flowers in that game as well. Today. And I was like, as long as Zay Flowers doesn't do too much shit, because I also had the Niners defense. I forgot to swap them out, so that fucked me. But yes, not great.
Yeah, no, I'm my team's fucking terrible this year. I've had Tyreek as Waddle went off this week and everything went swimmingly for the receiving core of the Dolphins except for Tyreek and was relying on Brian and the Commies run game, and he lasted a series and he was out. So it wasn't a great week for me.
But anyway. So I think with our league at the moment, we've still got like a really, really creamy middle there of folks between the leaders sort of at the top with the Ricky Williams Veggie Patch popping Judo Chop Robinson, which was a pretty big one at the top of the table, and away they go. So the Legends League is very, very tight. And in terms of actual performances, as you mentioned, Saquon was just absurd. So What was it, 44 points, I think, in the end. So
yeah.
not bad. Good size, good score. You also had Jaden Daniels with 32.4, thanks to that last one at the end. He also scrambled a bit more than he had in previous weeks, which is very nice. Josh Jacobs, 28.6 with his 3 tutties. Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison with the big one with 26.2. Courtland Sutton, 25.7. So plenty going on. And Mitch Wish is on IR. So
Yeah, he's done his back.
not great. Cool. Should we do some picks, Gaz?
Yeah.
Quick update. I think you're up by, I checked this before, I believe it's 8. 86 to 94 for the season.
Yeah, you knocked me a fair chunk back 2 weeks ago, and I got mine up. We had after the changes that you made, and that because when I wasn't around, we had there was only one pick difference for us this week,
and you got it.
And I just snuck over the line with that Baltimore one.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting a bit more even, get back onto the step that he needs to be. But then we got a few different this week by the look of it.
All right. It is Thanksgiving, so the first 3 games are on Friday, which is awesome. So you got Chicago at Detroit for your early morning game, which isn't crazily early, I think, off the top of my head. If we have a look at the actual Australian times for this one, because with those 3, it's 4:30. So that is, it's like 12:30 their time, I think, Eastern. And then it's 4:30, 8:30, 12:20, which is actually kind of nicely sort of spread out. Don't know if we'll be getting 4:30 on a Friday. Just saying. Anyway, we're both gone Detroit. They are 10.5-point favorites. It's a division matchup. We don't like that, but Detroit just score for fucking fun at this point. So
yeah, correct.
At home, a Chicago defense that gave up plenty of points to a Vikings offense that's not as good as Detroit's. So yeah, here we go, Detroit.
Yeah.
The second game is Giants-Dallas. Dallas are 3.5-point favorites. The Giants are a fucking mess. So I've gone Dallas, and so have you guys.
Same thing in Dallas. Jerry Wall might we might end up with some more shit falling off the roof and decapitating people. But look, in the first half of that game, there was absolute when the game mattered. There was nothing seen from the Giants' offense. So yeah, and they're not. The tank is on, Jim.
Yep.
So anyway, let's go with Dallas.
Yep. Green Bay then host Miami. I was really tempted to go Miami because I don't mind how they're playing, but on the road in the cold in Green Bay for Thanksgiving, a night game, fuck that. I'm going Green Bay -3.5.
Yeah, Green Bay, as we've spoken about, coming into form. Miami playing spoiler, still getting a little bit healthier, but yeah, Green Bay. I think they're making their move.
Black Friday game, we've got the Raiders at KC. KC are 13.5-point favorites. I'm going the Raiders because all they do is fucking spoil KC's party. It's also just like KC, just these big fucking lines. They just don't cover them. So as shit as the Raiders are, I will take the Raiders. So I'll just check 13.5. I'll just check that it is.
I don't like it. I'm going against my own thing. I got some points over you earlier in the season by KC not covering this line. It's just Desmond Ridder.
Yeah. He's bad.
So
they stink.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this is the game that they finally kick the shit out of someone.
Yep.
At KC. Yep.
All right. Atlanta hosts the Chargers. So that's the Black Friday game. So that's our Saturday as well, no? Which is kind of fun. What time is that our time? Well, that is at 7 a.m. Saturday morning. That's a brutal hangover wake-up game. But I'll take it. 7 a.m. is like if there's a squid running around, it's like, oh, bloody hell. All right. Cool. Put the iPad on the table and away they go. Good parenting. Anyway, Chargers at Atlanta. The Falcons were 1.5-point favorites. Then it swung back around. Now the Chargers are 1.5-point favorites. And we've both gone the Chargers because I think they're better than the Falcons, Gaz.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Short week.
I think that defense, and I just still, even with the bye and whatever, I just don't trust that Falcons team.
Yep. Like the defense of the Chargers more. Cincy hosts Pittsburgh, and Cincy is somehow 2.5-point favorites, which I don't get.
No.
I just don't like the Cincy offense, defense combo therewith. Pittsburgh's defense didn't have a great one last week against the Browns. On the road, as an underdog, though, I'm just going to go Mike Tomlin. So, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I think that the better record has won this for me. I mean, the Pittsburgh offense is doing enough. The Cincy, if anyone's going to stifle this Cincy offense, has been losing while scoring 30+ points. It's going to be that Pittsburgh D. So, yeah, give it to Pittsburgh in this one.
Last one. Pats host the Colts. The Pats are 2.5-point underdogs at home. I have also seen this as 3. I'd be much more confident with the 3. But I'm going to go the Pats anyway. I think they lose this. Indy scrape out some bullshit win by a point or two. I think the Pats will have a little bit of a fire lit into their ass. The Indy defense doesn't really scare me too much, he says. Touch wood. Stay safe, Drake, mate. And I'm going to go the Pats. You're going Indy.
Yeah, just Shane Steichen. I think he'll just have a little bit up his sleeve for the rookie, and he's the offensive coordinator for Mayo, and they'll just sneaky put up some points and hold Drake May off, and
they could. This could be like a 2-touchdown on the ground Jonathan Taylor game, and fucking curb something would not surprise me. Seattle at the Jets. We're both gone Seattle. West to east, bit of a tricky one, but the Jets are a fucking basket case at this point. +1.5. The Jets are underdogs at home. And the Seahawks. Gino comes home. He's coming home, Gaz. Let's go, Gino. I believe.
So I don't trust either of these teams. I don't know what to make from either of them. The defense of Seattle, the everything of New York. But it just seems to, on current form, seem to make sense for Seattle. One thing we didn't mention, Aaron Rodgers reportedly refusing scans so he can't get benched.
Oh, good.
Fucking train wreck. Yep. So, yeah, it's just toxic. So let's go with some positive vibes of Seattle.
Good stuff there by them. Very classic. Yeah, this is also the classic Jets spot where everything clicks and they look amazing, and then suddenly they win a couple of stupid games that they shouldn't win and fucks up their draft position. Minnesota host Arizona. After what we saw from Arizona this week, I'm going to go Minnesota. I think their defense is pretty bloody good. And Arizona, if they can't get the run game going, they're going to get fucked up. And Minnesota, 4.5-point favorites. We've both gone the Vikes.
Yep.
Washington host Tennessee. They're 5.5-point favorites. Don't like that line. Do not like that line at all, because this could be a 2015 win to Washington, and it'd be weird, janky, and they would win, but they wouldn't cover. I just hate Tennessee. Fuck that. I'm going Washington. You've gone Tennessee.
Yeah, I think the question marks over the top 2 running backs for Washington, with how a bit fucky that Daniels has been over the last few weeks, and the Kingsbury kind of end of season slump, and Tennessee just showing a little bit of grittiness. I reckon Washington might eke it out, but by a field goal.
Yep. Houston at Jacksonville. I'm going Jacksonville +4.5. Division game. Doug Peterson just going, please, you didn't fire me. Are you going to fire me? Am I going to get fired if I lose this game? It's like, that makes no sense, and it'd be funny if they did. Jacksonville quit on him 2 weeks ago. They've now had a bye. They've not fired him. Are they just going to sit there going, well, fucking okay, I guess we'll play? And Houston is so janky, though, I'm just going to take the points for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I once again don't know what to make of either team, so I'm just going to go with Houston because I feel like they're closer to a playoff team. And if everything clicks, then they should score more points than. But yeah, then what I mean is, they should win by more than 5 points. On paper, they should, but that's the thing that's not been proven this year.
Rams at New Orleans. We've both gone the Rams because, I don't know, the Rizzler, having him as your coach is kind of cool. I feel like the Rams would be a little bit better than the Saints, though. 2.5 is also a pretty tasty one because it's like a Rams field goal win, right?
Yeah, and like with the injuries still, they're coming off the bye, but the injuries for New Orleans on offense, the Rams defense isn't bad, and the receivers, I don't know if they can cover Cup and Puka. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams.
Good one. Tampa Bay at Carolina. I've gone Carolina the +6.5 just because they're feisty. Tampa Bay on the road always leave me a little bit cold. So I'm going to go, well, despite, curb stomping the Giants this week, but by the same token, second week on the road, go to Carolina, a bit of a weirder, jankier one. I'm going to take the points for Carolina, +6. You're going Tampa Bay, Gaz.
Yeah, I think so. I think another week back of Mike Evans full health, getting a little bit of that connection back. They've got something to play for in that division. As you said, they've lost twice to Atlanta, but all it takes is Atlanta dropping a game or two when they don't have the easiest run home, and all of a sudden they're back in it. So I think they've just got more to play for.
Nice. Philly, Baltimore. How good is this for your Sunday night football Monday morning? I'm going Baltimore -2.5 at home. I think Philly are probably the better team. I feel like Baltimore might just have enough weirdness. But how good is Derrick Henry going up against Saquon Barkley? Like, let's go.
Oh, I'm excited. That's to see what our defensive line can do against it. Like fucking Jalen Carter, against Desert Henry. Like, what do you got, kid? Like, here we fucking go, and trying to get Saquon into that secondary, that questionable secondary against Baltimore, and AJ getting back, like just daring them to stack the box to take on Saquon. What a fucking game. I'm really excited about this, and it could be an anticlimax, but fucking, I've just got to play the hard hand. I've got to show some faith in my team. So I'm going to go with Philly for this one.
Also,
just another fun fact, in the rest of the season, Philly do not jump on a plane again for the rest of the season. 6 games to go, whatever it is, and everything is around that top corner of the US.
Also, that's not actually the Sunday night football game. That's the late afternoon game. Fuck that up. It's Sunday night football is San Francisco, Buffalo. And Buffalo are 6.5-point favorites. We're going Buffalo.
Yeah.
Sure. Because Monday night football is Denver against Cleveland, which had somehow dropped off our spreadsheet. So that's a bit weird. But anyway, Buffalo over the Niners. I just feel like at home, the Niners, Niners on the road, Buffalo at home. Buffalo are really fucking good at this point. They look great. I'm going to go Buffalo pretty easily. I didn't think about that one. Let's go.
Yep.
And then Denver, Cleveland. As much as I love Jameis, I think Bo Nix and Denver should be a little bit too tough for the Browns. That defense is a little bit too good. So I'm going to go Denver -5.5 as well.
Yep.
For Monday night.
Too.
All right. And there you go. That's it. Episode 112 of NFL Straya in the books, just like week 12. Does that all line up kind of nicely? I guess it does. Not bad.
No.
Very, very, very nice. In the meantime, of course, get around NFL Straya on, Facey, Twitter, IG, TikTok, YouTube, Doghouse, Outhouse, Rabbit House, and away you go. Also get around NBA Straya with the Daily Show. Get around AFLW Today podcast. We got the grand final this week, which will be pretty crazy at Icon, which will be good. What else? We got the Cricket Today podcast. That's going chaos too, because the Aussies got done like a bloody dinner by the Indians, didn't they? They stink. Fire Marnus into the sun, I says. So get around all those shows, bang a rating and review for them on your Apple Podcast, your Spotify, YouTube Music, whatever you're listening to podcasts on your weird Android phones. Rate, review, star, subscribe, tell them, mate, all that good stuff. Big thanks always to House Hats for the intro and outro song. They're pretty good. Love them a lot. Gaz, you got any plugs?
No, not really. I'm going to sign up for my next marathon tomorrow, Jim. Melbourne Marathon opens up for 2020. What's next year? 2025. Kind of give it a crack.
In my brain, it's just like 2016.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign up to the next one, Jim. I'm gonna prove that it's one and not one and done for this old 45-year-old bastard as I turned last week. So that's about it. I just want more to come through on our YouTubes. There's a few comments coming through, which is always fun, mainly because they rip piss out of you for your
power rankings.
Power rankings usually.
Hey, I'm always right. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you think I'm wrong, let me know.
Yeah.
Simple as that. All right. Well, there you go. That is another NFL Straya. Raging success as per usual. We'll catch you next week, you dickheads.
See you.
Later.